The twin moons of Varela 9 hung low in the alien sky, painting the world in shades of silver and blue. Ethan Cole stood outside his small research habitat, watching the light ripple across the tall glass-like grass. The wind here made a faint singing sound like a whisper through crystal. For weeks he had grown used to that silence, that lonely music that played only for him. He was the only human on this side of the planet, sent here to study the native flora and energy systems of a world that shimmered with secrets. But sometimes, at night, he felt like something was watching him. He often told himself it was just the wind, maybe the glowing insects that flew near the trees. But deep down, Ethan had a feeling he wasn't alone. The scanner sometimes flickered with faint life signs, moving shapes that never showed themselves. The Virelons, the native species, were known to avoid humans. Reports from orbit said they were intelligent, cautious, and shy of outsiders. No one had ever managed direct communication, still he could feel eyes on him. Every night just beyond the light of his camp. That evening, he decided to stay outside longer than usual. The fire dome crackled softly, filling the air with warmth. Ethan sat on a rock writing notes in his tablet. Local air density stable. Soil particles bioluminescent. Night sounds consistent with... He stopped. There, a faint movement in the forest line. He froze, eyes narrowing. A shape shimmered behind the glowing trees. It wasn't a trick of light. Something or someone was watching him. Hello? He called out carefully. Is someone there? No answer. Just silence deep and soft. He took a slow step forward, his boots crunching softly on the glowing moss. I won't hurt you, he said, his voice calm but echoing slightly in the quiet air. Then she appeared. From between two translucent trees, a figure emerged. She moved like light bending through water, tall, graceful, and covered in a faint silver glow. Her skin shimmered like liquid moonlight. Her eyes were large, clear, and full of cautious wonder. She didn't look threatening. If anything, she looked frightened. Ethan's heart thumped once, hard. He'd read the reports, seen the scans, but nothing had prepared him for this. The Virelon female was beautiful, ethereal, almost fragile. He raised his hand slowly. It's okay, he said softly. You're safe. The alien tilted her head slightly, studying his face. When she finally spoke, her voice was like wind through glass, soft and musical, with an echo that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Are you human? Ethan blinked, surprised she even knew the word. Yes, he said carefully. I'm human. My name is Ethan. She stepped a little closer, her bare feet barely touching the glowing ground. Her movements were hesitant, as if every step might break something invisible between them. I have heard stories, she whispered, of beings from the stars, with hearts made of fire and minds full of storms. Her voice trembled slightly. You are one of them? Ethan smiled gently, trying to ease her fear. Hearts of fire sounds a bit dramatic, he said quietly. But yes, I'm from another world. She seemed to think deeply about his words, her silver eyes reflecting both moons above. Then she said, almost to herself, You are real. Ethan noticed her hand shaking. She was afraid, yet she hadn't run away. That meant something. He slowly lowered himself to sit on a rock near the fire dome again, making sure not to make sudden moves. You can sit, he said kindly. It's warm here. For a long moment she didn't move. Then she took one cautious step forward, then another, until she was standing at the edge of the firelight. The glow painted her skin with warm orange hues, blending strangely with her natural silver light. She watched the flames closely, curious, almost mesmerized. It's alive, she whispered. But it eats light, Ethan chuckled softly. We call it fire. It keeps us warm. Her gaze lifted to his again, and this time there was a flicker of trust in it. You are not what I was told, she murmured. They said humans destroy, that your kind only takes. Ethan looked into the fire for a moment before replying. Some of us do, he admitted. But some of us just want to understand. Silence fell again, but it wasn't uncomfortable this time. It felt like two worlds breathing together for the first time. The alien girl, who would later tell him her name was Lyra, studied the human's face in the flickering light. His eyes were tired, his expression calm but kind. There was something different about him, something gentle, and though neither spoke for a while, something unspoken passed between them, an understanding that both of them had been lonely for far too long. As the twin moons climbed higher, Ethan realized that tonight was the beginning of something extraordinary. The line between man and alien had blurred just a little, and for the first time since landing on this world, he felt seen. And in the darkness beyond, Lyra whispered softly to herself, words carried away by the wind. He is real. The human is real. For many nights after their first meeting, Ethan wondered if he had only imagined her. The forest remained silent, and the soft hum of Varella's night winds carried no sign of her return. He told himself that maybe she had been a dream, some trick of his lonely mind in this faraway world. But deep down he hoped she would come back. Every evening, he sat by the fire dome, pretending to write notes, though his eyes always drifted toward the glowing trees. Then one night, when the moons rose again over the horizon, she appeared. Lyra stepped out of the mist like a memory taking shape. Her eyes glowed faintly, catching the firelight as she moved closer. This time she didn't stop at the edge of the clearing. She came all the way to the fire and sat across from him. Ethan's breath caught in his chest. "You came back," he said softly. She nodded once shyly. "I was afraid before. My people say not to speak with the Skyborn, but you did not harm me that night. You did not chase or shout. You were kind." He smiled faintly. "I tried to be." For a moment silence filled the air between them. The fire cracked, sending small sparks into the night. Lyra tilted her head, studying the flames. "Your light feels different," she said quietly. "The fire's warmth. It is alive, but not alive like us." Ethan found her curiosity charming. "You think of everything as alive?" he asked. She nodded. "Everything that glows breathes. The air, the ground, even the stones. Our world speaks in colors and sounds most humans cannot hear." She touched the glowing soil beside her. "Here the earth hums gently when it rains. Can you feel it?" Ethan placed his palm on the ground beside his boot, closing his eyes. He couldn't feel any hum, but he smiled anyway. "Maybe I just don't know how to listen yet." Lyra smiled, a small, uncertain smile, but it was real. "Perhaps I can teach you," she whispered. That night they talked for hours. Ethan told her about Earth, the blue oceans, the tall buildings, the endless cities filled with people and noise. Lyra listened like a child hearing a fairy tale. "So many of your kind live together?" she asked softly. "Don't you lose yourselves in the noise?" He laughed quietly. "Sometimes, yes. That's why I came here, to find something quieter." She seemed to think about that for a long time, then looked at him again. "Do you miss your home?" Ethan hesitated. "I miss the feeling of belonging somewhere." Her eyes softened, glowing faintly brighter. "You do not belong here either, do you?" He shook his head slowly. "Not really. I'm just a guest." Lyra looked down, tracing lines on the glowing soil with her fingers. "My people say guests are like falling stars. They shine for a while and then disappear. But I don't want you to disappear, Ethan." Something in her voice touched him deeply. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. There was emotion, fragile but real. Ethan smiled gently. "Then maybe I'll stay a bit longer." Lyra's eyes lit up, the faint glow dancing like tiny embers. "You would?" "If my research allows it," he said softly. "And if you don't mind teaching me about your world." She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I can show you the whispering trees. They speak to the wind. When the moons meet in the sky, they glow brighter than anything." "I'd like that," Ethan said. They sat in peaceful silence again, listening to the alien wind. The night was cool, but the air felt warmer near her. For the first time since arriving on Varela 9, Ethan didn't feel like a stranger. Before leaving, Lyra stood up, her silver hair flowing behind her like light in motion. "I will return," she promised softly, "but do not follow me. My people would not understand." Ethan nodded. "I'll wait right here." She smiled once more, soft, fleeting, and then vanished into the glowing forest, leaving faint footprints of light that faded slowly behind her. Ethan sat there long after she disappeared. The stars above seemed a little closer that night, and the silence no longer felt empty. He had come to study a world, but something far greater had begun to study him in return. As the night deepened, he whispered to himself, "Lyra." The name felt alive on his tongue, like a spark that refused to fade. And somewhere deep in the forest, under the shimmering leaves, Lyra whispered his name too. The human. The one who didn't run. The one who listened. Ethan woke early that morning, the light from Varela's twin suns slipping through the translucent walls of his small habitat dome. The air smelled faintly sweet like wet leaves and morning dew. He stepped outside, stretching his arms, and looked toward the forest. Every time he saw it shimmer under the sunlight, he remembered her, Lyra. For the past week, she had come to visit every night. Sometimes they talked for hours, and sometimes they just sat in silence, listening to the soft hum of the glowing trees. He never pressed her for questions about her people or her home. He didn't want to scare her away. It was enough just to see her, to feel that quiet peace she brought with her. That evening, when the sky turned a deep violet, Ethan sat near the fire dome again, waiting. The flames danced lazily, throwing warm light across the clearing. And then, just as the moons began to rise, Lyra appeared, graceful and silent, her silver glow blending with the soft night. "You're early tonight," Ethan said with a small smile. Lyra tilted her head slightly. "I wanted to see the fire again," she said softly. "It reminds me of something I cannot name." She moved closer, her steps light and soundless. When she sat down, she seemed more relaxed than before. Her eyes, always filled with curiosity, now carried something else too: trust. Ethan reached for his small tablet, opening a screen that displayed Earth's pictures: oceans, mountains, cities shining with lights. "I thought you might like to see where I come from," he said. Lyra leaned closer, her eyes widening at the images. "It's so bright," she whispered, "so full of motion. Your world breathes differently. Everything seems alive and loud." Ethan chuckled. "That's one way to put it. Earth never sleeps. It's always full of noise, machines, people, life." Lyra looked thoughtful. "Do you miss it?" He nodded slowly. "Sometimes. But here it's quiet enough to hear myself think. And meeting you, well, that makes this place feel less empty." Her eyes softened, and for a moment she didn't speak. The firelight flickered across her face, painting her features in gold and silver. Then after a long silence, she whispered, "In my world, we don't touch strangers." Ethan blinked, not understanding at first. "What do you mean?" Lyra looked down at her hands, her long fingers glowing faintly. "Touch is sacred to us. It is only shared between souls who trust, between family, or hearts that have chosen each other. To touch without meaning is to break the harmony." She paused, her voice trembling slightly. "But I wish to understand what it means for you." Ethan felt his heartbeat slow. He didn't want to rush her, but he saw something deep in her eyes, fear mixed with courage. "For humans," he said gently, "touch can mean many things. A greeting, a comfort, a promise. Sometimes it just means, 'I'm here with you.'" Lyra seemed to absorb every word. Then she slowly lifted her hand, hesitating in the air between them. The glow from her skin reflected in his eyes. "May I?" she whispered. Ethan didn't move. He only nodded, her fingers touched his palm, so light it was like the brush of air. But in that single second, something passed between them. A wave of warmth spread through Ethan's hand, climbing up his arm like sunlight under his skin. Lyra gasped softly. Her glow brightened, pulsing faintly with every heartbeat. She looked up at him, eyes wide and trembling. "You're warm," she whispered. "Alive in a way I've never felt before." Ethan's voice came out low, almost breathless. "So are you." Her hand lingered in his for a moment longer before she gently pulled away. The glow faded, but the warmth remained. Lyra placed her fingers over her heart, her expression full of wonder. "You're the first human I've ever touched," she said softly. Ethan didn't know what to say. The words carried more weight than he could explain. For her, that small gesture wasn't just curiosity. It was trust, deep and sacred. For a long moment, neither spoke. The night air seemed to hum with something new, something alive between them. Finally, Lyra whispered, "Now I understand. Touch can mean I see you." Ethan smiled gently. "Yes," he said. "It can." The fire flickered softly, wrapping them in its warm glow. Lyra's eyes shimmered with emotion, and for the first time, she smiled without hesitation. That night, when she returned to the forest, Ethan stayed awake long after she was gone. His hand still tingled where she had touched him, and deep inside, he knew something had changed forever. Not just between two beings, but between two worlds that had finally found a bridge made of something simple and human. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan's small camp no longer felt lonely. Every evening when the suns dipped below the glowing horizon, Lyra appeared, quiet as moonlight, gentle as breath. Together they shared stories, laughter, and small moments of silence that felt more meaningful than words. Ethan learned about her people, though she spoke carefully, never revealing too much. The Virulons lived in deep crystal forests far beyond his camp. They believed all living things were connected by light, the same light that glowed under their skin. "We are born from it," Lyra once said softly, "and when we fade, we return to it." Ethan would listen in wonder. "On Earth we believe in something similar. We just call it life." Lyra smiled at that. "Then maybe your world and mine are not so different." But the peace they shared couldn't last forever. One morning while Ethan was sending his daily research log to orbit, a new voice crackled through the communicator, sharp, cold official. "Dr. Ethan Cole, this is Commander Reeves from Central Research Command. Our satellites have picked up irregular energy readings near your coordinates. Are you conducting any experiments outside protocol?" Ethan's heart skipped a beat. The readings, they must have detected Lyra's glow. He swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. "Negative, Commander," he said quickly. "Just atmospheric interference. Varela's electromagnetic field plays tricks on the instruments." There was a pause. "Copy that," the voice replied. "We'll continue monitoring. Report any unusual movement immediately." The line went silent. Ethan exhaled slowly, feeling his chest tighten with guilt. That night, when Lyra came, she noticed his unease. "Your eyes are restless," she said softly. "Something troubles you." Ethan stared into the fire. "My people are watching this place. They've seen energy signals, probably from you. If they find out, they'll come here." Lyra's eyes widened in fear. "They will take me?" He looked at her, heart heavy. "They'll want to study you. They'll call it science, but they won't understand what you are. What this means," she looked down, her silver glow dimming. "We have always feared the Skyborn for that reason. You seek to understand by breaking things apart. You learn by taking life from what you study." Ethan's throat tightened. "I'm not like that, Lyra." "I know," she whispered. "That's why I came to you." He reached out instinctively, wanting to take her hand, but she stepped back, her expression full of pain. "You must not let them find me," she said. "If they see me, they will find my people too. And when humans come with machines and hunger for knowledge, they will burn our forest to light their labs." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then I'll lie if I have to. I'll keep you safe." Lyra's eyes filled with emotion, something between fear and gratitude. "You would protect me? Even from your own kind?" "Yes," Ethan said simply. "Especially from them." The fire crackled softly between them, the light flickering against their faces. Lyra looked into his eyes, searching for something. Truth, perhaps, or courage. Whatever she saw there made her step closer again. She placed her hand lightly on his arm. "You are strange for a human," she said with a faint, trembling smile. "Your heart is not made of storms, as they say." He smiled faintly. "Maybe it's just tired of the storms." Lyra laughed softly, a sound like the chime of crystal bells. Then her glow dimmed again as she looked toward the forest. "I must be careful now. They cannot see my light," Ethan nodded. "We'll figure this out together." She turned to him one last time that night, her expression sad but calm. "If the Watchers come," she said quietly, "and they ask about me, deny me. Pretend I do not exist. I would rather be forgotten than captured." Ethan's chest ached at her words. He wanted to promise her that nothing bad would happen, that humans weren't all cruel, that the world could be better, but he knew those would only be words. "I'll protect you," he said instead. "I swear it." Lyra reached out and touched his hand, just for a moment. "Then the light between us will remember." When she vanished into the night, Ethan sat by the fire for hours, unable to shake the feeling that something terrible was coming. The night seemed colder, the wind heavier. Up in orbit, satellites continued to scan the surface, their sensors blinking red as they tracked faint, moving patterns of bioluminescent energy near his camp. And though Ethan didn't know it yet, that discovery would soon bring everything crashing down. His mission, his peace, and the fragile, beautiful bond between a man and an alien girl who had trusted him with her world. The days after the transmission felt heavy. The air around Ethan's camp seemed colder, quieter, as if the planet itself sensed the danger drawing near. Every night, Lyra came only for a few moments, never staying long, never letting her light shine too bright. Her laughter, once soft and free, now carried fear in every breath. One night, Ethan found her standing by the glowing river, her reflection rippling in the light. You shouldn't come here anymore, he said gently, walking toward her. She didn't look at him. If I stop coming, she whispered, will you forget me? Ethan's chest tightened. Never. Lyra turned to face him, her silver eyes glistening. Then I will keep coming until the stars fall, she said softly. Even if it is only for a heartbeat. Ethan wished he could promise her safety. Wished he could keep her hidden forever. But he knew time was running out. The next morning, the sound of engines broke the stillness. From the sky, a shuttle descended through the clouds, burning orange trails against the blue. Dust and wind rushed across the clearing as the craft landed just beyond the ridge. Ethan's heart dropped. They had come. A group of armed officers stepped out, their suits heavy and gray, the symbol of Central Command glowing on their chests. At their front was Commander Reeves, the same cold voice from the transmission. Dr. Cole, he said as he approached, visor reflecting the twin suns. We've detected multiple life signatures in this sector. You didn't report them. Ethan tried to keep his expression calm. Probably wildlife, he said. The planet's full of energy anomalies. My readings have been inconsistent. Reeves studied him for a moment, then looked around the camp. We'll see about that. He turned to his soldiers. Scan the area. I want a full sweep, thermal, bioenergy, everything. As they fanned out, Ethan felt panic rising inside him. He couldn't let them find Lyra. He had to warn her. When the commander turned away, Ethan quietly slipped toward the forest. Every step felt heavier than the last. His heart pounded as he reached the glowing trees, calling softly, Lyra. Lyra, where are you? She appeared from behind a cluster of crystal roots, her glow faint, frightened. They're here, aren't they? She whispered. Yes, Ethan said, breathless. You have to leave now. Go deep into the forest, somewhere they can't track you. Lyra shook her head, tears glimmering in her eyes. If they follow me, they'll find my people. If they harm the trees, the whole forest will cry out. You don't understand what your kind can do? I do, Ethan said, grabbing her shoulders gently. That's why you have to run. Please, Lyra, I'll handle this. Her voice broke. And what will happen to you? He hesitated. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they don't find you. Lyra stared at him for a long moment, then stepped closer. You protect me even when it hurts you, she whispered. Why? Ethan met her eyes. Because you're worth protecting. The words hung between them, fragile and full of meaning. Lyra's lips trembled. Slowly, she placed her hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat beneath his shirt. Your heart, she said softly. It speaks so loudly. My people would call it a storm of light. Ethan took her hand, holding it against his heart for one last moment. Then remember it, he said. If you ever hear it again, you'll know I'm near. Voices echoed in the distance, soldiers shouting commands. The sound of scanners humming grew closer. Lyra looked toward the noise, then back at him. Her voice was trembling. Goodbye, Ethan. He shook his head, his throat too tight to speak. She leaned forward, pressing her forehead lightly against his, her final gesture of trust. Then she stepped back, fading slowly into the glowing mist. Within seconds she was gone, her light swallowed by the forest. Ethan stood alone, breathing hard, staring into the place where she had disappeared. Dr. Cole, Commander Reeves's voice cut through the air. We found tracks near the trees. Did you see anything? Ethan turned around, face calm but pale. No, he said. Just the wind moving through the forest. Reeves studied him suspiciously, then barked orders. Pack up the area. We're staying here tonight. That night, as the soldiers made camp, Ethan sat silently beside his fire dome. Every flicker of flame reminded him of her, the way she glowed, the warmth of her touch, the light that lived in her eyes. He didn't know where she had gone, or if she was safe. But he knew he would never see the world the same way again. Above him, the stars shone brighter than usual, as if the universe itself was trying to whisper something. And Ethan whispered back, his voice barely louder than the wind, I'll find you, Lyra, no matter what it takes. The night answered with silence, and somewhere deep in the glowing forest, the faintest pulse of silver light answered him back. Weeks passed like long, silent rivers. Ethan sat through reports and briefings from orbit, always listening, always distracted. His superiors praised him for his calmness under observation, unaware of the secret he carried in his heart. Every night he stared at the stars through the observation port, thinking of Lyra. He tried to convince himself he was being practical, rational. She was a native of a wild, dangerous world. His orders were clear: no contact, no interference. But practical had never mattered when the heart spoke louder than reason. Ethan replayed every moment they had shared. The first time she appeared at the edge of his camp, the way her silver eyes reflected the firelight, and most of all, the touch. That touch had changed something inside him. It had reminded him what it meant to truly connect, to feel another being's life press against your own. He could still feel it in his hand. The warmth that had spread through him, the quiet electric understanding between two very different beings. "I have to see her again," he whispered one night, alone in the observation dome. The words felt dangerous, even reckless, but they were true. He had waited too long already. He couldn't imagine leaving this world without seeing her glow, without hearing her voice. The next day, he slipped away from the base under the guise of a data-gathering mission. His shuttle hummed softly as it descended through the violet clouds, carrying him back to the glowing forests. Every pulse of the engines echoed like a heartbeat, reminding him of why he came: to find her, to see her again, and to promise that their connection would not fade. The forest greeted him like a living creature. The glowing grass swayed gently, and the crystal trees hummed faintly, whispering secrets that humans could never fully understand. Ethan stepped carefully along the familiar paths, calling softly, "Lyra." "It's me, I'm here." For a long moment, nothing happened. The wind blew, the lights shimmered, and his heart sank. Maybe she had moved farther than he could follow. Maybe she had chosen to disappear forever to protect her people. Then he saw it, a faint silver glow weaving through the trees, moving gracefully toward him. "Lyra," he whispered, barely daring to breathe. She emerged from the mist, her silver light brighter than ever, though still gentle. Her eyes widened when she saw him, a mixture of disbelief and joy spreading across her delicate features. "Ethan, you came back," she said, her voice trembling. "I had to," he replied softly. "I couldn't leave without finding you." Lyra's lips trembled and she stepped closer, the forest glow reflecting on her skin. "I thought I would never see you again," she whispered. "I thought the Skyborn would take me or chase me away. I feared." "You don't have to fear anymore," Ethan interrupted gently. "I'm here. You're safe with me." For a moment they just stood there, the twin moons above casting soft light through the branches. The air pulsed with their shared heartbeat, a quiet rhythm that seemed to make the forest itself hold its breath. Lyra's hand reached out slowly, trembling slightly. Ethan took it in his, holding it softly, carefully. "Your touch," she whispered. "It feels like home." "It's always been here," he said, feeling the same warmth he had felt before, spreading from her hand through his body, as if nothing could break it. "Even when I was far away thinking of you, I could feel it." She smiled through tears, her glow flickering softly. "And I have waited, feeling your presence even when you were gone. I never stopped thinking about you, Ethan." Ethan stepped closer, his voice low and tender. "I never will." They embraced lightly, their hands and foreheads pressed together, sharing the quiet power of two beings from different worlds who had finally found one another. Around them, the forest glimmered and pulsed as if the entire planet was blessing the moment. For the first time in weeks, Ethan felt at peace. The danger of discovery, the loneliness of the mission, all of it faded. What remained was this simple, perfect truth. He had found her, and she had found him. Lyra rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "You are human," she whispered. "And yet, your heart is something else entirely." Ethan smiled softly, holding her close. "Maybe that's what makes us worth meeting each other," he said. Above them, the twin moons cast their silver light, bathing the forest in quiet magic. And in that light, two souls, human and alien, stood together, knowing that the bond between them could survive anything. No orders, no dangers, no distance could break what they had begun. The world was quiet, but between them, life hummed louder than ever before. The forest of Varela 9 was alive that night, glowing softly under the twin moons. Every crystal tree shimmered, every blade of luminous grass pulsed faintly with life. Ethan and Lyra stood together at the edge of the river, the gentle current reflecting the silver glow of her skin. After weeks of separation, fear, and uncertainty, they had finally found each other again. Lyra's eyes were wide, filled with emotion that words could not capture. You came back, she whispered, barely louder than the wind. Ethan took her hands in his, holding them carefully as if he could keep her whole within his grasp. I promised, he said softly. I told you I would find you. I never stopped thinking about you. She drew in a trembling breath, letting her forehead rest against his chest. I feared you would leave me, she admitted. I feared the humans would come and I would have to disappear forever. I feared losing you. You won't lose me, Ethan said firmly. No distance, no orders, no world can keep me from you. I'll always come back. Lyra's glow pulsed with emotion, brighter than Ethan had ever seen. Your heart, it speaks louder than words. It feels like it reaches across stars and winds and time itself. Ethan smiled softly, brushing her silver hair back from her face. And yours has never stopped reaching for me. For a long moment they simply stood there, hands clasped, breathing the same air. Around them the forest seemed to hold its breath, as if acknowledging the bond between two souls from different worlds. Then Lyra stepped back slightly, lifting her hand to touch the crystal river. The water shimmered, reacting to her light. I cannot leave this world, she whispered. It is my home. My people, they need me, but I cannot leave you either. You have become part of my life, part of my being. Ethan's gaze softened. And you are part of mine. I cannot go back to my world knowing I left you behind. Not after all we've shared. Lyra nodded, tears glinting in her silver eyes. Then we will find a way. Together. Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out the small crystal she had once given him before their separation. It pulsed softly in his hand, glowing with the faint warmth of her touch. This stayed with me, he said. Every day it reminded me of you. Every day it reminded me what is worth protecting. Lyra's eyes widened and she took a step closer. And I will always keep the memory of your hand. The warmth, the courage, the bond. Even if the skies try to take you from me. Ethan smiled, pressing her hand against his chest over the heartbeat that had never stopped for her. Then let's promise each other something, he said. No matter what happens, no matter the stars between us, no matter the worlds we come from, we will return to this place, to each other, always. Lyra's breath caught, and her glow shimmered like starlight in motion. Always, she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. Even if the universe tries to separate us, our bond will remain. Even if I fade, it will call you back. They embraced lightly, their foreheads pressed together, hearts beating together in a rhythm neither fully understood but both deeply felt. The warmth of their touch radiated into the forest. And for a moment, all the dangers, all the rules, all the fears seemed to fade away. The forest seemed to respond, the crystals humming, the grass pulsing, the rivers shimmering brighter than ever. It was as if the planet itself approved, as if it understood that the bridge between human and Virelen, between two very different worlds, had been built, and nothing could destroy it. Ethan held Lyra close, his voice soft but steady. We will make it work. We will protect each other, protect your people, protect this world. I promise you. Lyra lifted her face, tears sparkling in the light of the moons. And I promise you, she said. I will never let go, Ethan, not now, not ever. For the first time, Ethan felt a peace he had never known. He had come to Varela 9 to study a world, but he had found something far greater, trust, understanding, and love. And in this moment, as the forest glowed and the moons shone above, he knew that humans could rise above fear, rise above distance, rise above difference, to connect with something extraordinary. They stood together for a long time, two beings from different worlds, knowing that even if the universe separated them again, their bond would endure. A bond born of trust, courage, and the first touch that had changed everything. Above them, the twin moons reflected in the river, and the forest pulsed with quiet light. And Ethan whispered one final word into the night. Always. Lyra's answer was carried on the wind. Soft as a heartbeat, warm as life itself. Always. And in that promise, humanity had proven once more that even across the stars, across differences beyond imagining, the heart could reach, the spirit could endure, and connection could conquer fear. The night stretched on, filled with quiet magic, as human and alien stood together under the glowing world, forever linked, forever bound, and forever hopeful.